Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Rams Revealed podcast. I'm your host, Austin Platt, alongside my guy, now alum, Dylan Pescatore, now at Arizona State. And you see that Devils thing in the background, which means we're talking hockey. And today we are joined by the three girls varsity ice hockey captains, Courtney O'Connell, McKenna, Harden, and Blythe Novick. Ladies, thank you for hopping on.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, you guys have put together a very nice season so far, obviously coming off a couple years ago winning FCIACs and states. We've got a couple of questions for you guys today as you prepare for Darien and the playoffs ahead. First of all, as captains, who are previous captains you admired in your underclassmen years and tried to be like?
Specifically for me, I really look up to Jess Eccleston, who was one of our captains our sophomore year. She was a defender, so she played the position I play, and she was so focused on hockey and so dedicated, and she really pushed you to be the best version of yourself, not only as a defender, but the whole team. And I think she really shed her positive attitude on the whole team. And I think that's a huge reason why we were so successful and won FCIACs and states that year. And she's definitely one of the captains, if not the number one captain that I look up to the most.
Yeah, I definitely agree with McKenna. I think that year in specific, the three captains that we had complemented each other really well. And that was Jess Eccleston, Caitlin Sparks, and Cara Fahey. And I think Jess is so serious about hockey and so dedicated and puts in so much work and time. And Caitlin was really good at managing the team, and Cara was really good at making everyone happy and, keeping it fun. So I think kind of embodying everything that they did that year, which proved to be successful, and we won both tournaments. I think all of them for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That year specifically, those three complement each other so well because they covered such different aspects of our team, just the energy and then the focus and just being there and laughing with everyone too. I feel like they brought everyone together. And even I thought the year before that too, our freshman year, there were four of them. There was Zoe Jones, Gianna Bruno, Brooke Dean, and Liz McCarthy. And I thought they had a similar effect on the team. They all had different roles and stuff. And some were definitely more serious into the hockey part. And then a lot of the times it was some of them were like Zoe Jones was great, and keeping us together off the ice too with everything. So yeah, they definitely all complement each other well.
Definitely a balancing act too. I think kind of having the balance is important.
Yeah, so let's go back to that sophomore year when you won both tournaments. How did that feel, and that feeling that motivates you guys, throughout last year and now this year you go into, your last chance of getting it again?
I definitely think not only winning last year, but not getting kind of the revenge, from 2 years ago when we won both tournaments, and then on top of last year, not really getting to play in the state finals and kind of get revenge for losing in the FCIAC finals. I definitely think this year that's what we're not only striving, obviously, to win postseason, but we kind of are looking for that revenge rivalry because we'll probably see Darien in the finals. And honestly, that's what I hope so, because that's always so fun, beating your rival. And I definitely have full faith in us that we're capable of that. But I think specifically seeing how much joy winning not one but both tournaments brought us that sophomore year for us is something I want for the whole team, but especially because we're seniors and it's so nice to just go out on a high and then have the momentum for the team next year as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with McKenna, and I think we've kind of felt it all. We felt losing in really big games and winning, and I think having all those experiences and knowing what it's like to win both, we know what we need to do, so it's just a matter of getting it done. And that year was almost so simple. We went out there and played our game every time, so just trying to recreate that.
I agree. I think just like they both said, it's important to know how it feels both to win and lose. We reached such a high our sophomore year, and then last year we lost in FCIAC to Darien, and then right as we got our momentum back, COVID hit, and then we got our season literally ripped right from us. And so I think that alone is just such a motivation because it's we knew how it felt to lose to Darien too in FCIAC finals, and then we didn't even get the revenge we wanted to in state. And so I think just like they both said, we know exactly what to do to get back to that point. And that just, I think, is just going to motivate us even more.
Yeah, I remember that one day in class hearing that the tournaments got canceled. We were actually going to go up to Shelton with you guys to see that semifinal against Simsbury, and our hearts were torn, of course, for you guys as well and for all of the seniors. Dylan, obviously, you were a senior last year as well. And speaking of the Darien Blue Wave, you got two big games coming up. You met them last year in the FCIAC final. You saw them the year before in states. You already lost this year. That's your only loss thus far. What is so different about the Darien Blue Wave?
I don't even. Do you mean like compared to last year, or how we're like prepared
To any other game?
Yeah, just to any other team.
Honestly, we really strive and like implement that you have to treat every game the same. And obviously, like in your head, you know that Darien feels like a bigger game, but we know what we're capable of. Like Courtney was saying earlier, we know, especially coming off of that loss, that was not us. We were kind of hesitant. We weren't as aggressive as we should be. And we played an insane third period. And if we can play that third period for the entire game when we see them on Saturday and the next Tuesday again, we're golden. And that's what we've been preparing for since we lost them. And we gained a lot of momentum since then.
Yeah, we definitely started off like a bit of a rocky start, but I think all of us were just not sure what this year was going to bring, and we were a little hesitant to start. And like our first 3 games weren't great, but obviously Darien's a good team, so the score reflected that. The rest we got away with. But I wouldn't say Darien's so much of a different game than the other ones, as like they're a good team. That's kind of all it is. That's the best team we play. It's less of a mind thing, more of a that Foley is a good team. And in years past, we obviously see Simsbury and Amity and those teams, which are, kind of in the same caliber. So we have more opportunity to play those level teams, and this year we don't. So there's definitely like a fluctuation between kind of Darien and the better teams.
The best we got.
Yeah. And then the other ones. So it's a little tricky this year to kind of play at that level all the time, even if you're seeing not as great teams on a more consistent basis. But I definitely think going into it, it's a mental thing. We just have to have composure and not think too much about it and just play hockey.
I think it's important for us to remember too that this year playing them, that was only our second game. And at that point, obviously every team started late the season, but we'd only been playing together for like a few weeks. And so what Blythe is saying, it is such a mental thing, but I think physically now we're so much more capable of more coming up this Saturday. Like I really think that we are a new team and everything. And playing them for 4 years now, it's like we kind of know the drill. We kind of know like the mind games that are in it too and the physicality. And I think the best thing coming up this Saturday is that like I think we kind of have nothing to lose, and it's like we have nothing to hold us back, at all. And I think we're just gonna leave the nerves away from it, and like because a lot of times that does come being the younger player on a team and having gone through this for 4 years. But those are the most fun games to play against Darien, the most competitive, and that's like why we play. So I'm excited for Saturday. That'll be good.
I also think it's like a bit of a daunting game coming in as a freshman because it's like kind of
like thrown out there.
Yeah. So I think like as an upperclassman, it's kind of our role to simplify it. And, I don't know, we've done this like 5-6 times a year. We see them all the time. Like, no, even if we don't want to, we do. We always end up seeing them in like tournaments and stuff. So I think it's important that we're composed. So the underclassmen are as well.
So talking about like you guys as upperclassmen and dealing with the underclassmen, how there's been, limited time on the ice, not much time to hang out, especially with, everything that's been going on. How have you been able to create a community around your team that everyone's comfortable while playing in such big games?
Well, we're very fortunate that the majority of the people on the team already know each other from like social aspects, other teams, travel hockey teams. But we have done a relatively good job of trying to find activities that we can do off the ice to increase the chemistry. And so we've done like socially distanced bonfires outside. When we played Darien last time, we got lunch together and we did kind of like a car circle thing because we want to make sure that we're following the COVID guidelines, but also we don't want to do it at the expense of like not being able to get the off ice chemistry. So we're definitely trying to incorporate that. And then just in general, the team hockey's such a different dynamic than any other sport I've been a part of. Like, you just click so much easier on the hockey team. There's no like seniority. Like, the seniors are so close with the freshmen. You're close with your line. You're close with your position. And I honestly just think it's such a natural thing, regardless of off ice chemistry.
Leading up to the season too, we also did like captain practices and stuff. Like we took some of the ice time that we lost because we couldn't play in like unified practices and games. We put that together and did some captain practice and stuff. And like McKenna said, most of the team has been playing with each other for like some of us 3 and 4 years now. And we've lost players. We've had players come back from boarding school and everything. And hockey is such a special sport that like we do always click. But even just like the simple stuff, like sometimes we can't get a locker room for practices and stuff. So, but we're still together, and it's safe COVID wise, but we're still together during practices. We're still all putting our gear on together and everything. Like McKenna said, we get lunch and stuff and do other things, but it's been good. You know, I think we're doing the best we can with it. I don't think we could do anything else. You know, it's all positive, so it's good.
Yeah, and I think our sophomore year, we saw how much like being together affected our play and made us so much better. So I think this year it definitely posed a challenge, you know, not being able to do stuff together like super freely. But we wanted to incorporate stuff, like they said, to kind of build the chemistry. And I think we've done as good of a job as we can. And even if it's just keeping a constant conversation, like text wise with all the kids on our team, just kind of keeping everyone like in the loop and united. And I think once we started doing that and we figured out what we could do, that was kind of the shift in our season. And after that Darien game and we started hanging out, you know, safely more, I think it made all the difference.
Certainly making a difference, and hopefully the difference does pan out to an FCIAC championship in the end. What makes this team different than last year and more prepared to finish the job and win FCIACs after losing to Darien in the final last year?
Yeah, you go.
You can go. You don't want to go?
No, you're good.
I think one of the biggest things we see this year is, knock on wood, the lack of injury and the depth we have. I mean, last year we had, I want to say, at least 2 or 3 starting girls out with knee injuries. We had concussions. We had a lot of people were sick last year too. Like the flu went through our team and everything. And I think that this year everyone is a lot more healthy. And we see, even like as a forward, McKenna can tell you about the day-to-day of depth too, but as a forward, we run 3 pretty consistent lines like throughout great games. And then we get like the 4th and 5th lines in too. And that makes all the difference in the world, because I remember like my freshman year, we literally played like 2 lines. Sophomore year, we had more of about 3 lines to play, which how we saw how successful we were with the amount of depth we had. But last year we had a ton of injuries and stuff. And so that did cost us, you know, it did make a difference. But this year, I think with the depth we have, and the chemistry of the girls that have been playing together for a long time now, really makes a difference.
I agree with Courtney. I definitely think a huge attribute is our depth. Like, I am fully confident that we could throw in even our 4th or 5th line and we would be perfectly fine.
Absolutely.
But another thing that I see this year compared to last year is I just feel like there is such a push to be the best we can, and people care more. Not that people didn't care last year, but like Courtney said, we had a couple injuries. We didn't have a lot of like bodies to fill spots on like the lines and everything. And this year, like, everyone wants to win. Like, everyone goes out at practice, gives it their all. Like, we're not really dilly-dallying. We get the job done. It's just everything's smarter. We work harder. We're more unified. Like, everything just seems to work so perfectly this year. And I think it is because of that grit, determination, and like push to care more this year.
Yeah, going off what you said, I think it also, we're so much more focused, and even during practice, like everyone wants to be there and everyone wants to work. And I think that is because we saw how quickly our season got taken away from us last year. And like how quickly something like that can happen. And we're so lucky to be playing now. I didn't think we were going to get the opportunity to. So I think everyone comes every day to work, and, you know, it could be our last practice. You never know. So I think everyone comes to work their butt off every time. So
And we do know that every time we're like, this could be our last day. Like, we really don't know. There's so much uncertainty, and we know how that felt last year. And so that just pushes us even harder.
You don't want any regrets too. Like the game, we lost some silly games last year that we didn't need to lose. And, that doesn't feel good leaving that season, not being able to, we were building that momentum, but not being able to finish. So we don't want room for that to happen this year.
Playing every day is your last. So for our last question for all of you specifically is going to be, what's one player that stands out that kind of surprised you this year so far?
So the person probably that stands out the most to me that kind of surprises me is Grace Flato. She is a junior. Obviously no disrespect to anyone else on our team. We have amazing players. We have all FCIAC, all state selections, like the well-known skaters, the people recovering from injuries. But Grace Flato is someone who's on the third line, and last year I think she was on the fourth line. She didn't get as much playing time as she did this year, and I think she's one of those underrated players that deserves more attention than she gets. She's a center. She's constantly working for her 50-50 battles. She gets the face-off the majority of the times. She's just that player that is always hustling. And as a defender, I really respect how much she backchecks to help us when the other team gets the puck. And I just think that for everything she puts in, she deserves so much more credit than she gets, because she just really works her butt off, and it pays off.
Yeah, I definitely agree with McKenna. And in my position, like seeing that, I think she's improved so much, and she's worked so hard to improve. And she puts in so much extra time, and you can definitely see the results. Like, she's so much stronger in our zone getting it out than yours. Not that she wasn't always, but she's just so strong, and she fights all the time, and she gets stuff done. And then aside from Grace, I definitely say Lexi Tully for me as well, because, the defenders are always with me, and I think she's like the kind of person that gets on the ice and she works so hard and like is very smart about the hockey that she plays and clearing the puck when we need it to be. Like, she's really gritty with that. And I'd also say Maisie Koo as well. She's obviously an incredible player.
Both freshman defenders.
Yeah. So they're both super good, and the team has a bright future ahead.
I agree with both of them. Another one I'd say too is Caitlin Tully. Lexi's her older sister, who's a junior. And the thing that impresses me most about her is that she was awesome. She stood out her freshman and everything, but she tore her ACL right before a season last year and unfortunately missed the entire thing. And then from the first day I saw her out here, probably in late fall, playing hockey with us, or maybe, I don't even know if she's back during the summertime with us, but like late fall, she was like, it's like she like didn't even skip a beat. You could tell she worked so hard to get back, and she's an amazing athlete. And so clearly she was doing stuff like outside and like PT and just getting more healthy. But it's an injury too is such a mental thing too. And watching her play out there this season, you wouldn't even know she even suffered from a knee injury. And it's honestly really impressive. And I really respect her work and everything, that she cares so much. She did everything she could to get back out there. And so far she's been really successful. And I think she's just working so hard. And she's not letting that hold her back. So it's great.
She's so strong, like mentally and physically too.
Yeah.
And I remember her coming out last season at one of our like preseason skates, and I was like, wow, she's gonna kill it this year. And that weekend she tore her ACL, and I literally think I cried. So having her back out on the ice this year, and I like watched her fly around and go shoot and score, and I was like, wow. So I think she definitely deserves it, and she worked so hard to get back to this point. So.
Yeah, the first person I thought of when I wrote the question down was Caitlin Tully, an unbelievable year for the junior. And the team is just so deep all over the place. And you could basically say anyone would be surprising just because the team is so young. But it is so successful, which is great about having such a young team. We'll go now into the more individual questions. Courtney, we'll begin with you. There's no secret that your family has been filled with athletes up and down. Obviously, 2 older brothers that have gone to college to play lacrosse. And let's focus on Quentin for a second. How does having such a successful older brother dominating on the football field affect you, and how did the success that he had, did he motivate you in any way?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, growing up with them has always pushed me to, I've always heard their name everywhere. I always see in the newspaper, people would always talk about them at school, like on like the broadcast and everything. And I've really grown up just looking up to them, like as athletes and just as people in general, because, in my mind, they're just like humble, hardworking kids, and they are probably my biggest role models because they, I see it all, and I see how hard they work and, the time they put into sports and school and everything. And they really show that it takes a lot, it's not just how hard you work on the field, it's what you do off the field too, and how you treat your teammates and everything. And I think they have really set such an amazing image in my mind and just been such role models, and just how to be as an athlete and a person.
So our next question is from McKenna. You talked about, Jess Eggleston back in your freshman, sophomore year. What's one piece of advice that former defenseman told you as you grow into the number one defenseman on this team?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, honestly, it wasn't even from Jess. It was from our coach, Billy, who is more so like, he's our assistant coach, but he's definitely like defensive orientated. But it was kind of about Jess. It was when Jess graduated, he was like, you're going to be the one with the target on your back now. You got to prove why you get that. And so the reason that stuck with me is because, like you said, like I always looked up to Jess. It was kind of like we were D partners, and it was in the situation, it was like she was the better of the two. It was like if I messed up, I was like I knew she would be there to back me up and everything. But the thing is she saw us as equals, and like and that just like I was like, wow, you respect me so much. And so she had been there when Billy said that, and she was like, yeah, you're gonna have to work for this. And it was one of those things where I was like, I don't have her to back me up anymore. I'm gonna be the one that has to like back up the junior, the sophomore, the freshman. And that really made me work harder because I was like, I want that target on my back. I want the challenge. I want people to look at me and be like, hey, I don't want to go against her because I'm not going to be able to get around her. And that pushed me to always make good decisions during practice, break bad habits, form new ones. And I just think that was all because of what Jess has taught me, not only as a defender, but the confidence she's instilled in me and how to be that good teammate that's going to be there to help support others.
Makes sense. Gotcha.
Blythe, finally, one for you. What is one of the main things you have learned as you've gone through multiple years now in NC as a netminder?
Wow. I've definitely learned a lot. But I'd say that your one job is to do your job. And it's as simple as that. I think goalies, people are like, wow, it's such a high pressure position. But you just have to make it as simple as it can be made. And even in those big games where people be like, oh, this is kind of on, like, I don't know, like, I feel like in bigger games when there's more pressure, it's almost worked for me because I just make it as simple as that. And my job's the same as everyone else's on the team. It's, to keep my team in the game, and whatever that is, it is. It doesn't mean to be perfect. It doesn't mean to always have a shutout. And I always tell myself, just be good. I don't tell myself to be great. I don't tell myself to be amazing. I don't tell myself to stand on my head and do anything out of the ordinary. I just tell myself to be good. And that's all you can do. You just do your job. And if you do your job, you end up being great. So I try to make it as simple as it can be. It's not always simple, but I work on it. So.
For round two, the individual questions are a little bit of a shorter answer. So we're going to start off with Courtney. What's your favorite moment or favorite game so far as you've gone through, 3+ years of NC girls hockey?
Or game. Oh gosh, this might date back way back. I'd probably say like, I don't know.
Darien game winner.
It might be my freshman year. Probably, actually, I don't know. Or maybe my sophomore year.
Courtney, didn't you score like a huge goal our freshman year?
Yeah. Yeah, but that's
bajillion overtimes. So
that was the most stressful game actually. But that I'd probably say maybe like our sophomore year. Actually no, last year. Last year, the first time we played Darien in sorry, I'm like all over the map. Last year we played Darien like early January, I want to say. So it was the first time we played them. We came off a really successful year the year before our sophomore year, but I want to say that first Darien game we won 1-0. And I thought we played so well. You know, we weren't the underdogs, but it was clear that like we had a target on our back and everything. And whether we were expected to win or not, it was a close game. And I just remember it being so much fun and so competitive, and we worked so hard to win it.
Yeah, it's certainly one of the best games I think we've covered, that 1-0 game. I remember that one very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
McKenna, one for you now. Who is the hardest forward you've had to defend as you've gone through it now in year 4?
I have 2 answers. The actual hardest defender to defend would be my sister, because she is so technical, and in practices, she really makes you work hard, and she pushes me to not let anyone buy me in games. And our coaches always say to tell yourself, we're the best team. We know we're the best team. That's how we're going to think. So at practice, you're playing against the best players in the FCIAC and states. So that is like logic to me. And not only Kaylee, like all the forwards, it's like I'm playing against you guys. And if I can do this, like mentally prepare yourself, I'll be capable to do that in another game. But the hardest forward to defend on an actual another team is probably Kate Bellissimo from Darien. She's just so crafty, and she has really good stick like work, which isn't as common in girls hockey. It's also, we try to simplify where we dump the puck and we don't really skate through players, but she really knows how to work around a defender and shoot through you, and it's very challenging to defend her speed as well, because she is very fast skating forwards when I'm skating backwards. But it's always fun playing against her because she's so competitive and so aggressive.
And then Blythe, last one of you before we go to some rapid fire questions. What's one skill you came in as a freshman that you weren't as good at, but as you went through these, last 4 years, your goaltending coach or some of the other coaches have really worked with you and you've gotten better at?
I don't know if this is I guess it's a skill, but I think the whole mental aspect, because my freshman year, I remember Bjorn came up to me before the Darien game and was like, "This is on you, kid." And I was like, "Oh God." But after that win and seeing how happy everyone was, because we hadn't beaten them in a really long time, I realized that I was capable of doing this. I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know many of the girls on the team at that point. I went to St. Luke's for a little while, so I kind of disconnected from a lot of the girls that were on the team. But I think after that, I realized that I could do this. But it's so important to be mentally strong, no matter if it's not so great of a team or a really good team, bringing the same intensity to every game. And it's something that I'm still working on, and I probably will always work on, is definitely important. And I think this year obviously poses a bit more of a challenge in that sense, because I, didn't skate very much until this season, and it was a little bit of a late start. So every game I kind of have to talk myself off a ledge. But for a while I got really good at, managing it. But I think that is a super important skill that I've not only used in hockey, but I've used everywhere else. And I think I've gotten parts of it from our coaching staff, parts of it from my goalie coach, from my teammates, and kind of combined it all to find kind of the perfect equation that works for me. So
yeah, it's certainly paid off. Of course, you guys have came up big in the biggest games, and of course, winning states and FCIACs proves that a lot of things have improved. Now we'll go into our quick hits. First one: what is the favorite rink to play in other than Darien Ice House?
Gary Collins.
I want to say Shelton.
Ugh.
I like Shelton rink. I don't know why.
I don't know.
Favorite's Dorothy Hamill.
Oh, hate Dorothy.
No, not every rink but Dorothy Hamill.
I say Shelton. I don't know why I like Shelton. It's always bright and it's always like, I don't know, it's just like a good vibe at Shelton.
I do like playing in Shelton. I don't like lugging my bag up to the rink.
Yeah, that's true. We have those
2 floors,
a lot
right?
of stairs at Shelton.
It's like for me to take my goalie bag up there, that's a lot. But I do like playing there once I'm there.
Gotcha. All right, next question. Give us a surprise, underrated player that could really make a big impact as the season goes along that you haven't spoke about before.
Oh, I know mine.
Catherine Rare.
Yes.
I was just going to say Catherine Ryer.
Yeah.
There you go. Unanimous. That's very easy. Now, this one, favorite moment with Coach Bulin.
Oh.
I don't even know if I can share half of them.
I don't.
Oh, can I name a few? Can I name like quick couple? When he skated across the ice because we told him he couldn't skate, so he skated across the ice.
Yeah, and for reference, he does not skate. He's on the bench the entire time.
Yes, I don't know if you knew that already. When he skated across the ice, when he sang to me the other day, and my first Darien, or one of the Darien games, when he started bawling, crying. I've never seen the man cry. Like, I didn't expect that, and I really didn't know what to do, so I like panicked and I started laughing. And the last one was when he told me if I had a shutout against Simsbury, I could get a lip tattoo. And he told my parents after the game that I should get it. So
I have 2 favorite moments. My first is just his constant like loving texts, and he adds way too many emojis after it. And then my second would be before our Greenwich game, I just had done something like funny, and he was like, "You're in my top 10 favorite people ever." Like, he's always ranking us. It's really funny, and I love the man.
One of mine is like every single game. I mean, he's been coaching this team for like 20
plus years.
Yeah. And every game second period we switch sides obviously. And so the D and the forward switch, but a lot of times the forwards tend to hop the board so we're not off sides like within like the other team's zone. Mm-hmm. And we jump every game, but somehow every game he still doesn't know. So he asks us every game. He's like, "Oh, like, guys, are we jumping at this rink?" And we're like, "We've jumped every single game for the past, like every single team has done it for you, Bulin, for 20 plus years now." And he still asks every time. And it always gets me.
That's great. He's such a good guy to talk to and, be around. Last question for our little interview here for our Rams Real podcast is one word or one phrase to describe this team as we go into, the last few games of the regular season and the playoffs.
Family.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
It is a true family.
You're going to make me cry. I'm going to cry on this.
Just got sentimental real quick.
I agree.
I mean, caring too. Like, you see how much everyone cares for not only the game, but for each other. It's incredible. It's unlike anything I've been a part of.
Hardworking. I think everyone really wants it.
Yeah.
I'd agree with the family part. I guess, obviously, the hardworking part, but I think, like, it's a privilege to play with this group of girls every single time we step out on the ice. And I think part of what makes the season coming to an end so sad for me is the fact that I don't know anything different. Like, I remember playing with Courtney and McKenna since I was 5 years old. So definitely a family. I don't know anything else.
Can't think about that yet.
Well, hopefully it does turn into one big happy family after you girls hopefully win FCIAC. You got 2 big games against Darien coming up, and then a week from today on Wednesday will be a game against the Wilton-Normac combined team where Dylan and I will be there, and then we will be there for playoffs as well. For Dylan Pescatore, Blythe, Courtney, and McKenna Harden, I'm Austin Platt. Thank you for watching this episode of The Rams Revealed.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Of course.